Look, this is for your information. It's purely for your information. It's basically for your information. Look, it's information for your information. This is for your information.
Hey guys, it's your girl Remedy, and today I'm going to be coming at you with the second part of my henna series. I'm going to be showing you how I actually make my henna glosses. Now, a very quick word of advice before I show you how I actually make it up. Do not go from never having used a henna treatment to actually just doing a straight henna water mix. Now, you can use it and it is the most beneficial. However, you need experience using henna and handling your hair post henna treatment in order to be able to make sure that you do not have a major setback. Now, as I said in my previous video, the Lawson dye penetrates into the cuticle, and it's the penetration of that Lawson dye that actually causes the color change and also causes the conditioning of your hair. Now, if you use oils, it actually impedes the penetration of that dye, and it has a slight masking effect on the actual dye. So you're still getting conditioning, you're still getting strength, but incorporating oils into a mix to do an actual gloss means that it's not potent to the point where you might end up with quite dry or overly strengthened hair. So that is what I would recommend. I recommend, first of all, actually just starting with a teaspoon or a tablespoon, probably a teaspoon actually, a teaspoon of henna and or amla in your conditioner, your normal moisturizing conditioner, and just using that. Now, if you do that, you don't need to follow up with a moisturizing deep conditioner. And depending on the amount of oil that you use in your glosses, you will know whether or not you need to follow up with a moisturizing deep conditioner. If you use 50% conditioner and 50% henna, you need to follow up with a moisturizing deep condition afterwards, okay? So without further ado and without waffling to the point where you fall asleep, let's cut to the actual clip of me making up the henna. So my outro is going to actually be some words of advice when doing a henna treatment. Before you actually apply the henna, obviously being on a hair journey, or you know, maybe not even being on a hair journey, you will have product that is in your hair that is put on during the week, whether it be you know, things like shea butter or oils, or even hairsprays, eco gel, whatever it is that you've put in your hair that can actually prevent the penetration of the henna. So I strongly suggest that before you apply it, that you wash your hair out, and then that you dry your hair as well. You may also want to put down newspaper to make sure that your toilet, bathroom area, wherever it is that you're going to be applying it to your hair, doesn't actually get covered and stained by the dye. The other thing is that you can add cinnamon to intensify the colour. Please don't be stingy with the mix. Be very generous with your use of the mix. The thicker the actual mix, the more intense the colour is going to be, and the more intense the conditioning treatment is going to be. So make sure you really get in there. Try and avoid the areas at the front of your head and the nape of your neck area. To be honest, it tends to not catch the dye as much as your palms would. Like your palms during application, which might take you, I don't know, 20 odd minutes, will be completely orange if you are not careful, whereas the nape of your neck and your hairline, it might catch a little bit of colour, and it certainly will fade, but the best thing to do is just basically clean up with cotton wool around the edges, and you may also wish to, once you've covered your hair with a plastic cap or a shower cap or whatever it is that you're going to use, you might actually want to put some cotton at the front all the way around to make sure it doesn't leak out, if you're going to be, especially if you're going to be wearing it overnight onto your pillows. And please do wear something that you don't really care much for, because you may well end up with some stain on it, and it'll be neither here nor there if you don't really care that much for that item of clothing. Please do not put boiling water into the henna mix, because if you do that, once you rinse out your henna, the effect that the water has on the Lawson dye is that your hair will be just this crazy orange colour. I've seen people with it before. It's insanely bright. It's ridiculous. And some people might like it. I mean, obviously they did. That's why they walked out the house with it. But for most people, I mean, for me personally, I don't want my hair to turn orange. So do not put boiling hot water if you do not want your hair to turn an orange colour. When you mix your dye, for the Lawson to be, when you mix your henna, for the Lawson to be completely released out of the henna, you need to leave it to sit. So what a lot of people do is the day before, they'll think, okay, right, tomorrow I'm going to be doing my henna treatment. They will do their mix and they will just leave it to sit for the whole day, go to work, come back the next day, and then apply it, and apply it overnight. Rinse it out first thing, put on a moisturising conditioner for about 15 minutes afterwards if they've used a higher percentage of henna. Now, if you leave it at around about 20 degrees C, then overnight is more than sufficient, and the Lawson dye will be released and it's ready to get jamming in your hair. If you are short of time, you can leave it in an area that's about 35 degrees, and rather than it taking overnight to release the actual Lawson dye, it will take approximately 2 hours. So you know, it depends if you're in a rush. Again, do not put it in somewhere that is piping hot. Do not put it in boiling hot water. If it's, you know, even if it's in its container, do not then place it into boiling hot water to speed up the actual release of the dye, because it can have disastrous effects as far as the colour. My final point that I would like to make is, please do not use on infants or children below the age of 12. So I do hope that you found this useful. I would love to hear about your experiences with henna. Has it worked for you? Have you had a setback? Did you go straight into doing, you know, a water henna mix with no oils, with no hot oil treatment? Did you then have a setback? Or have you found it to be incredibly beneficial? Let me know if you try the recipe. Feel free to leave a video response. It would be so cool to actually see what my viewers and subscribers look like. But until next time, guys, blessing. Bye.